Hello, it's Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this is I Want to Be a Better Coach. We're getting into the Christmas season. That's why I have a little Christmas sort of top on and just trying to celebrate a little bit. I love watching Christmas movies and things, but to get a little more into it, to actually directly experience it, it's a little bit interesting to ramp up. Anyway, here we are wanting to be a better coach. And let me just jump in. I got a request from Gail, who's a coach. Um, she says, "Hello, Rosie. I had a coaching session and I feel pretty good about where I was listening from and picking out how my clients chooses to choose." Now, if you've been listening to any of the previous podcasts, I Want to Be a Better Coach, then you'll know that I talk about that. Like, what am I listening from? Where am I listening from? So Gail brings that up. It goes without saying that my client is a beautiful being of light and she's not feeling in alignment with who she truly is. In our session, she said, "I want to change my mindset to be in alignment with who I want to be." Gail says, "I threw my hands up in excitement with what I heard and told her there was a gold in her words. We began to take a closer look at what she said. She touched the core of my being with her words because I know what it feels like to be in alignment with who you truly are. And you don't have to wait for some future event to get you there." Of course, I didn't say that to her because I thought in order to have a direct experience with self, another thing we talk about is being in direct experience, um, something needs to shift inside her to realize who she wants to be is already who she is. I love that. My client already has a deep knowing of her true essence, but she doesn't feel it all the time or know how to be in that. Please give me your awareness on my thinking and directions that can better help me to sit with my clients in a space that could cultivate an awareness on how you think, basically how she thinks, and how you be when you say, who I want to be, and the knowing of who I am. This is wonderful. I love these kinds of questions because it allows me to experience in you, Gail, that place that has a knowing that's bigger than just, in a sense, the results-oriented outcome that most of us as coaches are looking for. Your client, we'll call her Melody. Melody says she wants to be in alignment with who she truly knows herself to be. And so even in that moment of you celebrating her with your arms going up, I do that all the time as a celebration of my client saying something that's true for them. And the truth for them is whenever people speak the truth, it might be, I like red nail polish. Whatever that is, there's a direct, clear indication that this person is speaking from their truth. This is what's true for me. I want to know what it's like to be aligned with the self I know myself to be. So as a coach, as a person, and I want us to think about being a coach a little bit differently because we have a relationship with our clients to elevate or bring them to their desired results, in this case, to be more aligned with who I know myself to be. And there's the rigorousness of what we're trained to do, to be, and help our clients get there. But when our clients want something and they're so clear about that level, it's so nice sometimes to just say nothing or just go, wow. And I'm really celebrating that for you, that you really know that for yourself. We don't have to say a lot. We can just acknowledge what we heard. We might get tears in our eyes. We might be moved, much like what Gail says, is she knows that place. And so it gave her a sense of that connection with herself and her client. So sometimes not saying anything can be an amazing moment of honoring our clients for who they are and what they're wanting in that moment, what they're experiencing in that moment, that desire to know who they are, to be in alignment with who they are. And so just number one, giving space for that and just saying to your client, wow, I really, really acknowledge and honor you for you wanting that for yourself. That's huge. Because the truth is, for me, that that's what our clients want. They may say, I want the car, or I want the money, or I want the relationship, or I want the children, or I want the big boat. But what we're looking for is we want that experience of alignment with ourselves. You know, if I have my red Tesla, I talk about if I have my red Tesla, I think that's going to bring me into alignment with myself. I'm wise enough to know that that particularly won't work, but perhaps my knitting, I'll show you my knitting. Perhaps my knitting will bring me into alignment with myself. So, and I say that because, so I'm a knitter and I knit sweaters, and I'm always wanting to be inspired, and knitting is one place where I can really honor that inspiration. I sometimes paint. There's little paintings over here that I've painted, or above my head over here. And painting also allows me to create or come through in what inspires me. This is a Christmas sweater I saw, and it's not done yet, just saying. But you can see the snowflake. I'm putting sleeves on the sweater. Now, when I saw this on the woman who designed it, I was inspired. And that inspired me enough to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours to bring this into a sweater that I can wear at Christmas or before Christmas. It's something that aligns me to myself. The experience of it, the creation of it, the choosing the color of this yarn, the quality of the yarn, all of that is part of, for me, knitting a sweater that aligns all of that to me. So the color, the texture, the quality, the design. And so it's really important when we honor our clients in the same way by saying, wow, you're really wanting that. And again, being able to just not try to do anything, but just be present to that. And as Gail said, she got very excited and raised her arms, and in a sense, a celebration of her client's desire. So part of it is just knowing that and saying, you know, and the one of the techniques that I love is being able to say, I totally get it. Like every single individual wants to be seen, heard, and gotten. So when your client says something and you go, I totally get it, that lets them know that you get them. You get them. And that's such a really important, valuable offering as well, is I get that for you. And we get excited. And quite often, in a sense, Gail wanting something here, which I appreciate how she puts this, is help me sit with my clients in a space that could cultivate an awareness on how you think and how you be when you say, I want to be, who I want to be, and who I am. She says, how can I cultivate that space? And this comes with the willingness to not try, if you will, and just be in the moment with that and experience what shows up for you, in you, embodied presence, connection. What is the experience you have when you hear your clients say whatever it is they say, and you go, wow, and in a sense, you're receiving their request. That's huge, because so many of us, and this is, I will talk about perhaps, well, I'll talk about it in a newsletter that I'm putting out, but how we as coaches receive what our clients are saying is really important. Quite often our clients are talking and we're not receiving, we're not listening, hearing them, we're not seeing them. We're already manufacturing some technique or something that we're going to do to help them. We're not in a state of receiving. We're not in a state of, in a sense, presence and being. And so when we're in a state of presence and being and receiving them and what they're saying, what is required of us, if you will just be forthcoming. You don't have to worry about what should I say or how am I going to say it. This is where true intimacy shows up in any conversation, whether it's with a loved one or with ourselves or with a client. It's like when we're in this state of in a sense, intimacy, we're in that state of how am I experiencing myself in relation to this client? How am I experiencing myself? How am I receiving this in my own experience of what my client is saying? That's really an important part. Every coaching session, there's two of you in the room, if not more. So when you can honor your own truth and experience and your clients at the same time, that's what we're practicing. As a better coach, I'm not trying to get somewhere or to get my client somewhere. They're where they need to be, and they're in a state of being within a process of becoming who they are. And this state of this process that each of us are in, when we can articulate it, it helps us be able to move through it. Articulating it, speaking it, can help us define what that is, explore, experience what that is. So with Gail's client, Melody, we're giving her an opportunity to just like, wow. And she says what she says. I want to know who I am. I want to know how I want to be in alignment with who I know myself to be. And in that moment, she's having a direct experience with herself in the truth of that. So, Gail, what like you did, you honored her and you were just celebrating her willingness to encourage courageousness to articulate something so true and to go, wow, that's awesome. And for me, my work comes from curiosity. In a sense, I think that being an effective or better coach includes the capacity of curiosity. So I might want to explore with her from my curiosity, what's it like for you to even say that? I want to be aligned with who I know myself to be. What's it like to even say that? It keeps the conversation in the moment, in the now, which is where most effective coaching is going to happen. What's it like being you right now? What's it like expressing that? What's it like physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically? What's the quality of experience you're having in even just saying those words? So we're not trying to go someplace. We're not trying to create an outcome. We're not trying to create things to do. We're just exploring what's that like for you right now. And another piece that I'm curious about is if Melody knows she wants to be in alignment with who she knows herself to be, then she already knows who that is. And Gail kind of talks about that. She already knows who that is. And so I'm curious. And so I oftentimes will say, gosh, I'm really curious. Who is that you know yourself to be? What's that like when you are in that you? That gives Melody an opportunity to actually feel into and experience the truth of who she is, who she knows herself to be. That's a real gift. So when you can be curious about people from that place of there's nothing, I'm not trying to get something, I'm not trying to do something, I'm just having an intimate conversation with someone that I care about, and say, oh, what's that like being you in there? What's the quality of that experience of who you are when you know yourself to be that? Now, a lot of times we're afraid people aren't going to know how to answer the question, so we don't ask those kinds of questions. I've heard coaches say that. I don't think my client would be comfortable answering that question, so I don't ask it. So you're making an assumption that your client can't answer it. Now, what we're doing in a coaching session, we're coaching people to grow their capacity to know themselves. So when we ask them questions that may be challenging them and they may struggle with being able to articulate or express that, we're giving them an opportunity to be in a safe environment where they can try it out and say, this is what I think it feels like, or this is what I think it feels like. And we go, wait, you're thinking about how it feels, but I want to know, how does it actually feel? You can help them work that out. And that's the fun part, is because in the moment, your clients get to be the most authentic self. And you can watch them. For instance, Melody might say something like, well, when I'm uh, afraid people aren't going to like me, then I do A, B, and C. And I know that's not in alignment with who I truly am. So sometimes asking people or being curious is like, well, if you don't know quite how to say who you really are, how do you know when you're not that? That contrast element can be really valuable to help people explore. Well, I know, like I just said, when I'm trying to wear a lot of makeup and I'm trying to look good and I'm trying to sound good and I'm trying to be trying anything, I know that's not me. And those kinds of articulations help people go, I know this isn't me. And quite often I'll go, so if this isn't you, what's it like when you're not doing this? We give them a space. It's being curious. What's it like when you're not trying? And she goes, oh, I feel peace. I feel connectedness. I feel a sense of relaxation. I feel content. I like myself. I'm funnier when I'm not trying. Those kinds of things. People can get to know who they are, sometimes in contrast to what they're doing or what they're trying to do. And you as a listener is saying, wow, I get that this isn't you. So if you were to stop doing this, I might wave a magic wand like this pen. Okay, let's for a moment just drop all of that for 5 seconds. What's it like dropping all of that trying? What's that like for you? Now we create space, and it might be silent for a bit, but it's not silence. It's full of the thinking and the energy and the things that are coming together. And when we can create that space for our clients, we're giving them room to feel the expression of their divine self, to feel the expression of the true self, to feel the expression of the not true self. When I'm working hard at being friendly, that's not who I am. Excellent. I use a lot of superlatives to assist people in when they speak the truth for themselves. I said this before. I celebrate that with excellent, awesome, celebration. That helps them know that they're being validated for who they are, not who they should be or what you think they should be potentially, but who they are. So I hope that helps, Gail, that number one, I'm saying, be curious, be in honor of your clients. Every client, I'm just in a state of honor and respect, and I trust my clients know. This is something we're not trained as coaches to trust our clients that they know. And at the same time, the whole foundation of coaching is based on inquiry, where we're asking questions that empower our clients to empower themselves, to know, because they know. You've heard me say this. My job is to let you know that you know. I say this to my clients all the time. I know you know. If I assume you don't know, that's on me. That gets in the way of you being you. Because more and more often I'll say, what do I know? Because more and more I don't know what my client's orientation is, what their trajectory is, what their path is, what their learnings are, what they came here to Earth to do. I don't know. All they know. And so I trust they know, and our exploration in these conversations support that. That's all. Doesn't matter how it looks right now. It's what's the experience that we're having. And me and my client are having an experience. We're having a conversation. All coaching is a conversation. And I like to have conversations that are more open and curious and allowing. And in a sense, quite often coaching again is based on, the way that most people are coached or trained to coach. It's there's something wrong or something that's a problem or something that needs to be fixed or something that needs to be changed. And so we're looking in our thinking, we're not listening to our clients. We're going, what's wrong here? What needs to change? What needs to shift? And we're not even listening. And we're looking at the negativity of it. Over years, I've trained myself to look for the positive, like, where is my client already being themselves? How do they know that when they're in that state of being that's truly in alignment with who they really are? Because they do have that. Every single person coming to coaching has had the experience, the positive experience of fulfillment that they're asking for coaching for. And the more that you as a coach can be open to listening for, where are you already doing that? When are you already being your highest self, your true self? When are you already in alignment with that? Your client might go, but if you stay with the question, they will share that with you. They will, because they know. So the more that I'm in the positive frame, like, where are you already doing that? And how is it that you are choosing to make that happen for yourself over and over again, the positive? And we can say, how are you making it happen that it's not happening for you? I had a client this morning, and she texted me and said, hey, I'm at a crossroad and I need some coaching. It's okay, great. And she's in a way of being, she's in a frame of mind, an attitude, if you will, that no matter what she chooses, she's not going to be happy. She might feel like doesn't have to, she's scared right now and she's not feeling confident with herself, and she just wants to hide and she wants somebody to take care of her. And so bottom line is, the crossroad is not, does she choose A or B, but can she begin to choose from something other than, I want somebody to take care of me? That's the crossroad. So, and we can put that in a positive reframe so that she can say, I know where she's doing positive things. I know where she's already being self-confident and trusting that she's safe with herself and she can make good decisions and she can be self-reliant. But right now she's so attached to a pattern of being something other than self-reliant, she can't come into alignment with herself. So the crossroads, if you will, is, do I stay aligned to this pattern of being, which has me be not myself, but at least feel safe? Or do I shift to the place where I'm more in alignment with myself? So it shows up everywhere. So Gail, I hope that's helpful. And please feel free to comment. And if you're listening to this and you're not Gail, please feel free to comment. And if you're finding value in these videos, please give a like. That would be great. Just, it lets me know that you are finding value. And if you're not finding value, just please leave me in a comment what would bring more value to you in these sessions. Okay, next question, next thing. This brings me to something I talk about a lot, which is, in sharing what Gail brought up, and this level of listening and this level of curiosity and this level of presence and intimacy. There's a lot of coaches, people who've spent thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe like you, who are listening to this, but saying, I don't want to work that hard. And the client that I was speaking of just a second ago, that's with at the crossroads, she's basically telling me and saying it in those words, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to discipline myself. she's got some dogs that are acting out, and other people can manage the dogs and she can't. And when I go, hey, here's a way that you can start to practice self-reliance and that you can do something different. She goes, I don't want to. I don't want to discipline. It's like, okay, good to know. In a sense, when a client can say, I don't want to work that hard, that's a statement, a declaration of truth. Nothing to be fixed. It's nothing nothing to do with that other than, okay, I get it, totally. And your dogs are acting out, you're frustrated, this is annoying to you, and this is a level of annoyance that's comfortable for you, if you will. I don't want to change it because I don't know how to do I don't know how to do me without this level of frustration and frustration, we'll just call it that, irritability, discontent. And I had a client after her, I'll call her I'll call her April. And April basically said the same thing. Hey, I don't want to work that hard. Let's talk about, we're laughing. She goes, can we not talk about this stuff to this degree? Can we just talk about the weather and making Christmas cookies? And I said, sure. And it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more money to talk about. She says, let's talk about bunnies. I go, that's going to cost you $100 more a session. And she said, well, let's talk about planting flowers. I go, that's going to cost you another $50. So $150 more to talk about superficial stuff. Okay. And we were just laughing about that because I don't, I want, I'm here in service to your knowing and your fulfillment and that of my clients. And she said, well, maybe I'll just cancel the next session. And I go, excellent. And you're still paying for it because you're doing it because you're avoiding this conversation and the depth and the work. And we're just laughing. I'm very playful about this, but because she gets it, I don't want to do this work. I don't want to, it's too hard. Can't you make it easier? And I said, I'm making it as easy as I can. And what is it you want? And she gets it. And she's brilliant. She's brilliant. But she's caught in much what the other person was caught, the earlier client was caught in a sense like, I don't want to work that hard. I'm comfortable in my junk because that's what I'm comfortable in. It's what I know. And it's scary to go outside of that. And I totally get it. When I'm talking to people, this brings me to the third thing is, I know what my clients are talking about and I have complete compassion because I've been there. I know what it's like to avoid and ignore and distract. And I know what it's like to want a better life, a more fulfilling life, and at the same time, keep doing the stuff that keeps it from happening. So I know that place where it's like, I don't want to work that hard. You know, some people ask me, why aren't you married? Why aren't you in a partnership with, you know, a significant other? It's like, the truth is, I don't want to work that hard. It's a lot of work to be in a marriage. It's a lot of work to be a mom, a parent. It's a lot of work to be a daughter and a son of parents. It's a lot of work to be in that level of relationship to really bring about fulfillment. And I don't have to have a relationship with a partner, with a significant other to, you know, I work hard to have these conversations with you. I've worked very hard at having the capacity to coach and be in relationship with my clients in a respectful, honoring way. It's more difficult to do that with a partner on a day-to-day level, and I choose not to do it. I don't have to do it. It's not hampering my life. It's not hampering my fulfillment. And that's the point where we get to choose, you know, how hard, what is it you want? What is it you want? And I say this to all my clients all the time when they're going, I don't want to work that hard. It's okay. You get this frustration and you get this sense of, you know, I'm not enough and I'm fucked, excuse the expression, but it's like, this is, you know, I'm powerless. This is horrible, terrible. It's like, okay. And is this how you want the next day to be or the next week to be or the next, ask them those questions. They go, no, I don't want it to be that way. It's like, I get it. I get it. And at the same time, it's like you want fulfillment. You want the fulfillment of your human spirit. And at the same time, it's scary. I totally get it. And that's what you have a coach for. So you have somebody who's witnessing you and honoring you and respecting you and a thinking partner to help you go, yeah, here's what you're saying and here's what you're doing. Like, what do you think about that? Excuse me, my nose is itching. So you're, as a coach, are going to be addressing those elements of yourself that you don't want to work that hard. And at the same time, you want clients and you want your clients to pay you more money and you want to feel fulfilled in your sessions. I get that. You might want to teach, you might want to train, you might want to write books, and you don't want to work that hard. And I totally get that. So it's really a matter of that place of what is it I want enough. The women I talked about that I had sessions with, they have the capacity to work hard. I know because I've been a witness. One of them, when I started working with her 20 years ago, she was like, I can't do anything. I'm totally powerless and helpless. And she decided she wanted to be a massage therapist and put herself through school and became a massage therapist. That's a lot of work. And so she's been doing that for quite a few years now. So she has the capacity to work hard. It's just a matter of choosing what you want as a result of the work you do. That's a dilemma for every single human being, you included as a coach, you included. Sometimes we think of ourselves as coaches that we are somehow beyond or above what our clients are going through or having or wanting, and we judge them. But the truth is that we are experiencing the same thing that our clients experience. Our clients' issues are our issues. And if we can't coach to the client's issues, we probably aren't dealing with our own issues. My clients who are struggling and going, don't talk to me about this stuff. Let's talk about the weather. How am I being as a coach is I can be in 1,400 different ways, and I have to be able to choose, how do I want to be with my client in this way? Certainly compassionate, supportive, playful, and saying, I totally get it. I'm not going to charge her more money about that, but just getting the idea across that I don't want to spend the time um, um, with somebody who's brilliant and knows this stuff. I don't want to spend the time coddling them in a way that's not going to support them because supporting, it's not who I am, basically. So I don't want to work that hard. It's going to come up for you time and time again. And your personal work will always influence your professional work. Your work with your clients will always affect you and influence you personally. My clients are my teachers constantly showing me, ooh, I got some work to do. And being a better coach means that we're willing to do that work. And that's partly why I offer these. I want to be a better coach. So you can go, oh man, I get it. I can see it. You can do some coaching on yourself. You can do self-coaching, but you can also reach out for some group coaching where you're getting group, in a sense, a group training with people like you who have questions and challenges. And or you can get one-on-one coach training or supervision. You can get mentoring, one-on-one coaching, or you can, all kinds of stuff. I'm offering it. I've got books, I've got blogs on my website, I've got over 300 videos, all of these things in terms of my perspective, but there's all kinds of stuff out there that can help support you in being in alignment with your highest self, your true self. That's what we want. Okay, last thing is being trained. I don't know, some of you may have been trained as a therapist. And therapists and psychologists are trained not to talk about themselves. In fact, it's a real no-no. It's like an ethical issue is not to talk about yourself or your stories. On the other hand, and I'm going to go, so here's where there's total anonymity. And in fact, here I live on an island. A friend of mine was talking about the fact that she had gone to the local art center and her therapist showed up there. And her therapist turned around and left the experience because her her ethical standards said I can't be in the same room as a human being with my client. And so there's that level of of boundaries that I am this therapist, I am not a human being, and I don't share anything about myself. On the other hand, we've got 12-step sponsors, people in other, let's say in spiritual traditions, quite often there are people who are mentors, those kinds of things. But I'm going to talk about it in terms of sponsoring in a 12-step program, AA, NA, Al-Anon, adult children, Debtors Anonymous, whatever it is. There are people who have been in the program long enough that they sponsor and support and mentor people who need and want somebody to have that level of presence and accountability to and with, and that helps them go through the 12-step program. Now, if you're a sponsor in a 12-step program, the sponsee knows you are in the program, knows you have been an addict or an alcoholic, knows that you know what you know from your direct experience through that. You've had to recover. You know what it's like to go through one day at a time, one moment at a time, where you feel the horrible, terribleness of being without your addiction of choice. So as a sponsor, you're known to have gone through those experiences. And you can share your experiences with your sponsees and others freely. And it's very accepted to do that. And when your sponsee shows up and they're having an experience that's challenging to them, you go, I totally get it. They want a drink or they want retail therapy. They want to do something to soothe their angst. And the sponsor can go, I totally get it. I know what that's like. I've lived through that. And I'm here to support you through that because I know the direct experience of that. So on this side, we've got somebody who's totally open, totally open with who they are. So that's over here. Here's over here. Now coaching, it can go either way. It can go whichever way you feel most confident and comfortable with yourself. I've been working in recovery, both personally and professionally. I worked as a therapist in recovery for a long time. So my focus in terms of a lot of my work is a recovering individual. I'm reclaiming myself. I'm coming into myself, much like we talked about with Melody and wanting to align with my highest truth, my highest self. That's a recovery process. So I'm happy to share that I am recovering as well. And that my experiences, I can relate pretty much to any experience my client has. Again, with the client who's at the crossroad and she goes, should I go do this or should I do that? It's like, well, what is it going to give you? And what she's, again, looking for is, I don't want to work. I don't want to be in the stress. I don't want to be in the challenges. I don't want to have to make decisions for myself. So I can go here and get that, or I can go here and get that. But it's not, and so my point is I know I've been in those places where I'm looking for people to be dependent on. I'm looking for ways to avoid accountability. I'm looking for ways to avoid responsibility. So whenever my client is talking about stuff, I go, I know that experience. And for me, it's helpful for people to hear, hey, I know what you're talking about. And not only that, in terms of I know what you're talking about, But sometimes I'll share, here's what this looks like in my life. Here's how this dilemma or challenges looks in my life. Here's where my habitual or addictive patterning looks like that. That gives people a sense of normalcy. It gives them a sense of validation that they're not crazy or bad or terrible. There's something wrong. It gives them a sense like, oh, I'm not alone. Somebody knows what this is about. And so my speaking doesn't come and again, the therapeutic perspective of I have no problems and I am not going to be that for you in terms of that level of compassion, empathy. I can be compassion, empathy, but I'm not going to demonstrate that through letting you know about me. For me, that's a hierarchical orientation. Might not be for other people, but for me, that is. We're all on the same path. We're all trying to get into our fulfillment of our human spirit, of our alignment with our highest truth. And so if I can share with you, share with my clients the degree to which it is helpful to say, hey, I know what that's like. Here's what it looks like in my life, not in terms of being a friend or having my clients be a dumping ground for my stuff, because that's where it's not good. That's where it doesn't work. But in terms of saying, hey, I know what this is like. I've been in these crossroads where I don't want to make this, excuse me, I don't want to make the decision. I want somebody to make the decision for me because I don't want to be accountable for what shows up. So here's what that looks like for me. And when I can share that with my clients, again, that brings about a sense like, yeah, okay, she gets me. We all want to be gotten. So the degree to which I can share without making my clients a dumping ground or looking for that a friendship again is different. I wanted to bring that in as a friend is somebody that they get to go, yeah, I know what that's like. And there's a commiseration. But as a coach, we're not looking for that commiseration. We're looking for, hey, I'm empowering my client to empower themselves. Here's where I struggled with that myself. Here's where I'm making progress. I have to take accountability and responsibility for those choices. So I'm not using my clients or getting to be friends with my clients but it's maintaining a boundary of respect and professionalism, if you will, that boundary, and being able to say, yeah, I totally get it. I know what that's like. I've been there and I'm there sometimes. And then my next question usually follows when I share something is, what showed up for you as I shared my story or shared my perspective? What shows up in you as you're hearing me or listening to me? So this is not, again, it becomes not about me, but what's happening in my client as I'm sharing some aspect of myself. And sometimes, most of the time, they'll say, I feel a sense of relief because I know I'm not alone. And I know you get it. It's still hard. It's still scary. And I go, yep, still hard, still scary. And you're not alone. And it's hard and it's scary. And we laugh because it's funny. The more you take this in, the more you can go, oh my God, it's all pretty humorous in a good way, in a good way. So that's pretty much it. The last thing is this therapist, coach, sponsor, and each element of this is like your personal preference. This is what works for you. We have teen mentors. We have mentors. We're training people to support. In a lot of spiritual traditions and religions have these mentors that can help support and empower people through these processes as a person along the way. Just one of us. We're just one of us. We're all trying to make our way home to our higher self, to where we feel most connected and aligned. Okay. There are a lot of offerings below. If you're interested, check it out in the description box. And if you're interested in getting support to be a better coach, more effective coach, check that out. And you can email me at rosie@theparadigmshifts.com to see what you can maybe we can do together. All right. Well, big hugs to you, blessings, and I'll talk to you next week. Okay. Bye for now.